And you thought BMW made the biggest grills? This is the Lexus LX, and in a bit I will tell you why this is the best luxury SUV money can buy, why this is the first and as of now only review of the LX that you will find done here in India. But first, 75 centimeters. That's how tall the grille is on the Lexus LX. That's more than the BMW X7, more than the GLS, more than the Range Rover, more than anything else. This is the biggest grille money can buy, and everything on the Lexus LX is king size. To do some research on the pricing, I went to the Lexus website. They have an easy to use payment calculator. So the minimum down payment that you'll have to drop on the Lexus LX 500D is 42.5 lakh rupees. For that, you get a loan of 2.4 crore rupees. And if you take the 60-month payment period, you'll be dropping 5 lakhs every month for the next 5 years. Now take 36 months, the payment period, you'll be dropping 7.8 lakhs on it every month for the next 3 years. If you want to pay off the loan within a year, you're looking at 12 payments of 21.7 lakhs every month. God, it is expensive, and yet despite that phenomenal pricing, within 2 weeks of the LX 500D being launched, it was sold out in India. Admittedly, that's only 50 units that have been allocated for India because worldwide demand has been incredible for both the LC as well as the LX. But 2 weeks all sold out, and today, even if you have 3 crores lying around, Lexus dealers will tell you you will have to wait 3 years. 3 years for this, the LX 500D, and that's why this is going to be an extremely rare sight on the road, and that's the reason why this is the first and right now only review of the LX in India. This is a proper genuine exclusive, and I'm really excited to drive this. Cars like this, SUVs like this, true blue hardcore SUVs like this, they really get me excited. This new 4th generation LX, it continues with the same body on frame platform, but it is a brand new platform. This is the TNGA architecture with the F series platform. Lexus, they call it GAF, and the GAF, it has provision for electric motors, so a hybrid powertrain can come in the future. As of now though, the R&D budget only permitted development of 2 engines, a 3.3 litre twin-turbo V6 petrol and the version that we get in India, 3.3 litre V6 twin-turbo, but it is the diesel. 12.3-inch touchscreen, a 7-inch additional touchscreen for the AC controls and also for the off-road displays, and an 8-inch cluster, a digital cluster. Now, in terms of the layout of the dashboard, everything feels solid, built to last. But does it make you go wow in the way a Range Rover, for instance, does? Honestly, no. This does not have that design flair. This is chunky and very practical, very sensible. It's built to last, but it doesn't look wow. That for sure. The graphics on the digital cluster, it's a nice cluster and the displays look nice, but the graphics don't look very stylish. The touchscreen, at least it is a little sensible to use. It's not like the previous Lexuses that had that touchpad. In fact, that space for the touchpad is now used for a wireless charger, and this also has cooling fans, so your phone won't get very hot while charging out here. So that is a good touch. But otherwise, these interiors, they are more functional than stylish. But I have to point out that it will last through everything. It's also a mixed bag of quality. I must remind you, this is a 2.8 crore SUV, and the sunglass holder, it's ridiculously cheap. The sunroof, you don't get a panoramic sunroof. You get the small sunroof, and the sunroof cover, you have to manually operate it. In a 2.8 crore rupee car, manually you have to operate this. And the rear guys, they don't get a sunroof. In fact, if you've noticed, all Land Cruiser passengers, all Lexus LX passengers, well, you would have very rarely seen an LX on the road. So let's focus on the Land Cruiser passengers. The big boss is always sitting in the front in the passenger seat. not at the rear. And that's because the front passenger seat is the best seat in the house. The rear guys, they're not shortchanged for space, but there isn't a lavish amount of space either. It's not like a Range Rover where you can play cricket or football at the back. This is just about enough. You don't have a sunroof at the back. You have manually operating sun blinds. You have a display, you have a TV screen, and you can connect your music player or your PlayStation via an HDMI port. But there are no massage seats. Nowhere in this cabin do you have massage seats. All 4 seats are cooled. The middle row, it's a bench. The middle obviously is not cooled, but everything else is cooled as well as heated. You have separate controls for that at the back. You can adjust the backrest angle, but you have to do that manually. There is a button on the side of the seat that slides the front seat slightly forward, but that's about it in terms of the lavishness at the rear quarters. In contrast, the front seats, they are awesomely comfortable. They're nice and wide, super comfy without being squishy. You can spend hours and hours and hours in it. And stuff is built to last. These grab handles on the A-pillar, the power window switches, the way they operate, the damping, it's phenomenal. You roll the window up, the way it slides up also, that sense of quality that you get is beautiful. And when you put the windows up, that's when you realize that the insulation from the outside world is excellent. This is a big diesel engine and you can barely hear a murmur. In fact, when you're cruising, you can't hear anything at all. The Mark Levinson sound system is phenomenal, except I haven't been able to figure out how to adjust the bass and treble. Obviously, my phone is connected to it via wireless CarPlay. I've been driving this for the better part of the day now, and I still haven't been able to figure that out. The wheelbase, it remains the same as the outgoing LX, 2,850 mm. And that's because Toyota's Land Cruiser engineers, they have something called the golden ratio. So according to them, the ideal balance between agility and stability is achieved when you have a wheelbase to track ratio of between 1.5 and 1.6. And that's why the wheelbase, it remains identical, and the track widths, they go up marginally by an inch. So the golden ratio has been maintained. And since we are geeking out, I must also mention that the chief engineer of the LC300, he benchmarked the ride comfort of this new LC300 and also this LX against the 30-year-old LC80. Because in his words, that LC80, it has the best rough road performance of any Land Cruiser. And since we're geeking out and doing air quotes, I must also do another one. And that is what Toyota says that they intended the Land Cruiser to be, to take you anywhere and bring you back alive and safe. Alive, they actually use that word alive. And that's the whole rationale between the LC300 and also the LX, that this will never break down. This will never give up on you. Badasses and baddies the world over, they rely on the Land Cruiser to bring them back alive. To cruise down Marine Drive, you might use a Maybach or you might use a Range Rover. But if you want to come back alive in one piece, you will pick a Land Cruiser, or for 70 lakh rupees more, you'll pick up the LX. Also aiding balance, the engine, it has been moved 78 mm rearward and 28 mm downward. The engine is the 3.3 liter twin turbo V6. It makes 300 bhp, a mammoth 700 Newton meters of torque. Top speed 210 kilometers per hour. 0 to 100 in 8 odd seconds. So even though this is a huge building on wheels, it does move rather quickly. The twin turbos, so the smaller turbo, it spools up quicker at lower RPMs, so you don't feel any turbo lag. And then when you're cruising along at 80 or so, the larger turbo kicks in to make this feel more effortless. This drives like a proper luxury car, and it has the performance. Now when you step on it, that's when the engine, it does become a little loud. But strangely, because a big diesel engine is such a rare thing today, I actually like that diesel rumble and grumble. that gur 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 that you get from the diesel engine, it just infuses the LX with a feeling of solidity, of invincibility, that it can chug up and through anything. It fills you with awe. And speed breaker. Why bother slowing down for speed breakers? Why bother slowing down for anything? Okay, wait. For a corner, you got to slow down because it's way too much body roll. But otherwise, speed breakers, all forget it. Just go through it. And of course, this having the guts of the Land Cruiser, it has genuine off-road ability, and it's got all the electronic aids that you would want. So you get this multi-terrain system. Now, unlike in a Range Rover, for instance, or even in a Maybach or a Mercedes, where you can select sand, snow, all those different modes, here you stick it in MTS. The Lexus, it will figure out what terrain you're on, what modes you need, what aids you require, and it will sort itself out for you. So you don't really have to use your brain or worry about things. You have this DAC/crawl button. So that is basically downhill assist or uphill assist. And with the torque on offer, 700 Newton meters, you can chug up or come down anything, any obstacle that you will find. And now is a good time to ask me that question as to why we aren't taking this legendary 4x4 off-road. I'll tell you, 3 reasons. 2.8 crore rupees. We're not stupid. Nobody is going to take an LX off-road. So we're not going to take an LX off-road. 22-inch wheels. If it gets cut by a sharp stone sticking out, man, repairing a 22-inch tire is impossible. You have to replace it, and the cost of a 22-inch tire, oh God. And the third is that I don't think even Lexus wants us to take it off-road, because that front end is so low hanging that that's something that will scrape. So it does need an off-road bumper, and there is no towing hook at the front. So if you want to pull it out in the very, 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 very off chance that you might get it stuck, you can't pull it out from the front because there is no tow hook up front. So we're not going to do stupid things. And the LX, as a natural consequence to all that attention to detail that Toyota's engineers have put into the Land Cruiser, has become phenomenally comfortable. Now, I don't remember anybody calling the earlier LX or the LC uncomfortable, but the ride comfort of this new version is something else. This has proper suppleness that has been built into the suspension. All these small little ripples in the road, the small undulations, you cannot feel them at all. And that's despite the Indian LXs, they run the big 22-inch wheels. So they look fabulous, but they're massive wheels. And normally with those size wheels, you don't get good ride comfort. With the LX, you do. But on the other hand, you also get a fair bit of body roll. That's to be expected. Now, neither Lexus nor Land Cruiser, they make any pretense of being sporty. Though on the mode selector, you do get Sport S and Sport S Plus, which I think is a bit too much, because the LC 500D is not sporty in terms of the dynamics. This is not a sporty SUV. The Maybach, the Range Rover, those do handle a bit better. They're tighter, more agile. For instance, the LC 500D does not get rear wheel steering. Rear wheel steering, it makes a huge difference in sort of shrinking the size of the Range Rover, making it feel a little bit more agile. But with the LX, you want to go and do a 3-pointed turn, and you do a 3-pointed turn in the proper old-fashioned style. Lots of wheel twirling. The LX is clearly better to drive than the outgoing LX, and that's because it has become lighter, 200 kilos lighter. That's thanks to the use of more high-tensile steel panels. It's got an aluminum bonnet, aluminum roof, aluminum door panels. So altogether, 200 kilos has been reduced, and it is also 20% stiffer. So overall, body control has definitely gone up. The steering, it's still power steering, but it has electric actuators. So I don't know how it actually works, but it's supposed to have the good parts of hydraulic as well as good parts of electric power steering. And the big difference that you notice is that it does not feel cumbersome anymore. It does not feel truck-like, especially at low speeds when you want to do three-pointed turns, when you want to park this huge mammoth beast. It is far easier. You're not struggling anymore. You're not putting in any muscle into it. And when you're hustling it, you do get a bit of feedback also from the steering. So it honestly does work. You get adaptive air suspension. So as standard, you get 220 mm of ground clearance. You can raise it by a further 177 mm, or you can drop it by 50 mm if you want better high-speed stability or handling. Water weighting 700 mm. So honestly, nothing is really going to stop the LX. And you get low ratio. So you push this knob, turn it towards the left, and you can engage low ratio. You can also lock the center differential. So the 50-50 torque split, that's what you get on the LX 500D. So the hardware is all there. And if you're really serious about going off-roading, you stick an off-roadish bumper, reduce the gaping jaw of that grille, and this will take you to the ends of the earth and back. Why is the LC, and of course by extension the LX, the best luxury SUV in the world? That's because you cannot kill a Land Cruiser. Where does the Fortuner's legendary quality come from? Where does the Innova's legendary reliability come from? It comes from everything Toyota have learned, crafted and perfected with the Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser won't give up on you. And for 70 lakh rupees more, you get 70 centimeters more of grille on the LX. You get more of luxury, and of course, you get more of price. That price really is phenomenal. 10 lakh rupees more gets you a GLS Maybach. For 30-40 lakh rupees less, you can actually buy a Range Rover. The pricing is right up there in the stratosphere. And also, you don't get a lot of equipment. You don't get soft closed doors. You don't get a panoramic sunroof. You don't get massage seats. Yet, people who know, they know. For them, that does not matter, because they know that the Lexus LX 500D will never ever break down. It will keep going till the ends of the world. Nothing will ever stop it. It will bring you back alive and safe. And for that reason, and that reason alone, it is money well spent. This is the best luxury SUV money can buy. It is unstoppable.